Hey everybody, Psychosaurus is here. Welcome back to Age of Empires Online, and today we will be talking about advisor units. Yay, again, and this time we're gonna talk about the Persian ones. So if you wanna watch, I already talked about the Greek ones and Egyptian ones, and also there's one separate video that's talking about advisor units in general, so make sure to watch at least that one before this video, okay? But yeah, advisor units, Persians, these are, I would say they are not that interesting as some other advisor units, but I would say somewhat more interesting than the Egyptian ones. So let's get into it. And yes, Persians have 5 in total. Just like Greeks and Egyptians, 3 in Silver Age and 2 in Golden Age. So let's start with Horse Lord Siavash and his Scythian mounted archers. Now these units are actually ranged units, and at first they might look like your typical mounted archer. But if you take a look at their stats, it's actually quite interesting. So first of all, its cost. Most of the ranged units typically cost some amount of wood and gold. This is one of the exceptions, this one being in advisor units, but there is one more ranged unit. It actually costs food instead of wood. This one also costs food instead of wood. It is 70 food and 70 gold cost. So as a unit, it's somewhat expensive. 140 resources in total, 70 per pop, which is, it's a lot, but it's not the worst. Definitely saw some more expensive units than this. But yeah, the food cost is actually one of the most interesting parts about this unit. The other unit that costs food instead of wood is the Elephant Archer. Just so you know, but so this is somewhat similar to that. But yeah, mounted archer costs food. Now if we take a look deeper into the stats, it has pretty okay health, okay damage output, 15 range, which is typical for your mounted archers. So although it's short, it's not that bad because mounted archers are typically pretty fast. And if you take a look at the speed of this actually has 12 base movement speed, so this is very fast unit. For an advisor unit, I would say this might be actually the fastest I can think of right now. Usually from what I saw, it was like 10 movement speed for like a Tyroi and the Desert Cavalry, and then I saw like 9 speed. So this is probably the fastest advisor unit I can think of right now. So that's pretty good. And then as you look further, you realize, hey, this mounted archer actually does not have any bonus against cavalry. That's true. This unit actually is not anti-cavalry unit necessarily, although it can like kite it pretty nicely with the high movement speed. Most likely if you go against some cavalry that's might start slow at first, but then it's gonna speed up thanks to the stable text. The 12 movement speed is not gonna be good enough for you. So against cavalry it might not be the best. I would say it's better against some slower units. So most likely what you might want to use this unit against are infantry units, maybe some slower villagers as well for raiding. And for this part, actually, you have to look at the armor of this unit and see that it actually has some base pierce armor, 0.30. For a ranged unit, that's a pretty nice thing to have some extra protection. We already saw that with the Desert Archers for the Egyptians, but that unit is like, I'm still gonna say it's probably the worst advisor unit I've seen. And I'm probably gonna stand behind it. It is the worst advisor unit, if not the worst. Well, I'm not gonna say it's necessarily the worst unit, but for an advisor unit, I would say that unit would be my bottom tier, the very bottom. So this one actually has it nice because that means, hey, I can get closer to ranged units without worry of losing too much health. So this definitely helps. And with the good amount of health, like 450 base health for a ranged unit, that's pretty good. Adding some extra pierced armor to that, that's very nice. So yeah, this definitely is more unit that you can just spam thanks to the food cost. You don't have to worry about the wood. You don't have to produce that many caravans to keep buying the wood. You just make farms. Hey, I can keep producing that. And one thing I should mention, and this is actually advantage to the Persian advisor units, is they are affected by the toggle text, namely the Golden Age one, the Relentless Zeal, which improves the training time by reducing it by 60%, but also increases the cost by 30%. So as you can see, 140 resources is good amount, and if we increase it by another 30%, that's like 182. Yeah, that's suddenly a huge increase. Okay, 91 units of resources for this unit, that's a lot. That's a lot for one population. That suddenly moves the price of this unit quite high, okay, to the higher tier. So careful with that, but it is definitely something you can do when you just want to produce this unit or the other advisor units very fast. And in this case, its training time is 10 seconds base, so yeah, reducing it by 6 seconds, suddenly you can have a lot of these units, so careful with that, okay? Don't be afraid of losing few of these, you can easily replace them, but you obviously will need good economy for them. Luckily for Persians, caravans get the movement speed upgrade, so you definitely have some better caravans than most of the other civs, especially the two previous ones, the Greeks and Egyptians, so gold should not be that big issue, but the food, still it's pretty high cost. So yeah, if you want to spam these units really fast, be ready for it to make up huge economy. And yeah, so in general, it's a pretty good ranged unit in general. It's rather fast, so you can use it to kite some units, pick off some targets that you want to, but other than that, yeah, it's just a general unit, okay? So nothing really too special about it, especially the lack of any bonus against anything. Yeah, that's just not good, okay? So its base damage definitely helps it a lot to keep up through some leveling up quests, so definitely can do some repeatables as well with this. Some easier elites and legendaries could be possible as well with this, but don't expect miracles from this unit. And as I have nothing else to say about this unit, that's pretty much it. So remember, it costs food instead of wood, that's very important. It has some pierce armor that helps it to survive the pierce damage. Very high movement speed. On the other hand, no bonus against anything, so it's not gonna do that much damage against anything specific, but because of its speed, it can kite some slower units. So I would say this unit is good against slow units. And that's it, okay? Nothing else. If you feel like I forgot about something about this unit, hey, comment section down below. Make sure to tell us. Not only me, but other viewers that might want to learn about this unit. But yeah, I don't think I've missed anything. There's okay line of sight as well, but nothing too big about it. So with that, let's move on to the next one, and that is Kardaka General Arsham, and yes, from the name Kardakas. So Kardakas, if we take a look at those, they look like a quite nice infantry unit at first. 35 food, 35 gold, that's pretty nice cost, not the worst. 70 units per pop, so just like the Scythian mounted archer. Same, it's pretty much the same cost. Now, we need to take a look at the stats, obviously. So first of all, it's health. This is quite a nice health, actually. Almost 600 base health. That's not the worst. Obviously, we saw already something better, but when we compare it to the units we saw, this is pretty close to what, like, I think the Kopish swordsman had, which is not that bad. It's pretty close. It's not the worst. It's pretty okay health. It's definitely not on the tier as Phalanx or as a Tyroi. So that definitely it is pretty good health, but it is definitely not the highest. So it can take some beating as a unit, which is nice. Next, it's damage, which is what I see here is almost 21 DPS, which is quite low DPS output when you think about it, because we saw like units having low DPS output, but from the first looks of this unit, it does not look like the toughest unit, it does not look like the most spammable unit, but it is still infantry, so you can produce it quite fast. But yeah, the damage output in general does not look that great, but then you look a little bit lower and you will see its bonuses. And first bonus is against infantry, 2.5 times. This is very high bonus, okay? That's already a very nice bonus. With the base DPS we have, this is like 50 DPS against infantry. And this is with no upgrades, okay? So that's pretty good damage output against infantry. And from this you can already tell, hey, this unit is actually anti-infantry. And yeah, the bonus definitely helps here. Then you look a little bit lower and you see, hey, it has some bonus against buildings as well. Quite similar to what Somatophylax for the Greeks had. So also 50% extra damage against buildings, that's very nice. Definitely helps. And then you see, hey, it has some pierce armor, but only 0.2. Not the worst, but it's definitely just a small boost. It's definitely not gonna be as huge as, let's say, 0.30. But it is a nice bonus. And then you take a look at the crush armor, and this is actually a very interesting part, because this unit actually has quite a high crush armor, I should say. 0.50 for an infantry unit. There are a few units that have that, but this does not look like the most armored unit. So I would say for the stats the unit has, it's not like the most tanky unit. So I feel like this is like one of the exceptions. It's not very fast, it's not very armored, but it's something in between, and it has just a higher crush armor as a bonus, which seems nice actually. But I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, you wanna counter like siege units with this unit. They're just, it's a nice thing to have it, but how often is this gonna help? That's a good question. And then, yeah, pretty typical stuff, base movement speed of 6, 5 seconds training time, which is quite nice. But we definitely saw some faster training times before, so I think this one might be a little bit one of the higher training times for infantry. I am not sure right now, out of my head, I don't remember. But yeah, and yeah, when you take it to this unit into the action, you'll see it can take some beating from the ranged units, probably even siege units if there are some. But yeah, this unit is mainly anti-infantry. How is this countering infantry with its very high bonus? Now you have to remember, this unit also has no melee armor, so although you do very nice bonus against infantry, this unit is very vulnerable to infantry as well, because there is no bonus. So your typical anti-infantry units most likely are gonna win against this unit. Now, which units we can talk about? We can talk about, let's say, Greek Hypaspist. For example, that one also has 2.5 times bonus. If you have some good gear, obviously damage output will go higher as well for it, but yeah, base damage is definitely not high. Why? Because this is advisor unit. That's why these stats are high. But yeah, if you take a look at the hypnospace, it's quite similar, but hypnospace also gets the infantry armor. Same thing. Celtic longswordsman, also 2.5 times bonus against infantry, but also it has some base infantry armor, so also 0.30. So yeah, moving on, legionary, sure the bonus is not that high, but also 0.50 infantry armor, so again it works for that unit as well. And so we can continue with the other stats. So yeah, this definitely looks like a unit that can counter infantry, but it's not good against anti-infantry units, I should say. It's not that good, okay? So what do you wanna counter with this unit? Are definitely units like Spearmen, Sparabara. I'm thinking Volt Raiders could be fine. I mean, that pretty much anything that's not anti-infantry. So could be something like Ulfhedin from the north, and so on, so on. Yeah, basically you counter infantry that does not counter your infantry, to simply put it. I feel like that's the best example that I have that I can think of about this unit, okay? But yeah, its high health definitely helps you to survive the infantry units, especially when you're leveling up, playing some easier quests, whether they are elite or legendary or your typical repeatables. This unit can take some beating, which is nice, definitely nice, but it's not gonna be like the best unit for the end game, obviously. But yeah, easier quest, definitely a good unit. I like this unit, and the anti-building damage definitely helps. This is, I would say, this unit is, it's like less armored Somatophylax with bonus against infantry. That's probably the best description I have for this unit, and I think it fits pretty well. So the bonus is there, no doubt, but yeah, less armored. We can see that on health, we can see that on pierce armor, and thanks to the lower armor, hey, it actually moves faster. So yeah, I think Somatophylax is like the best comparison to this unit. And that's how I would say you should look at this unit. Hey, I do better against infantry, but I'm not that armored. So yeah, how to use this unit? Definitely go against infantry. Can be good as a front line against some AIs that do a lot, rather some bigger amount of pierce damage. But yeah, once you get to the more challenging quests, definitely it's not the best against cavalry. Against infantry it will do its job, but yeah, infantry will counter. So careful with that. Fast production helps, but remember, you need fortress to train these. So yeah. Luckily for you, you are playing as Persian, so you can turn on the zeal and produce this unit very fast. And producing this unit in 2 seconds instead of 5. Yes, this unit can become very spammable. So suddenly you have like slower version of Pezetyroi. And that suddenly makes this unit look much better on paper, if you ask me. And in action, it can definitely work really nicely. So yeah, give this unit a try. This is definitely a unit worth trying out. Like, start slowly. Hey, you will just have smaller amount. Then you build up the economy. Turn on the zeal. Start fast producing this unit non-stop. Like, army in 10 seconds. No problem. That's how I'm gonna end it with this unit, because I have nothing else to say about it. It's just general unit against infantry bonus against buildings. That's it. Some armor. It's nice. Nothing else to say about this. Definitely give it a try though. Okay, and then we have the last H3 advisor unit. Royal Guard Zubin, which gives us the Royal Guards. Not ought to mistake this unit for the Babylonian Royal Guards. Okay, this Royal Guard is actually quite different from the Babylonian Royal Guard. While the Babylonian is more anti-infantry unit with some very good base damage, this unit is anti-cavalry actually, but it still has pretty good base damage. So look at the stats. First of all, cost 30 food, 50 gold. So this is more expensive than Kardakas or the mounted archers as we saw before. But what does it have to offer in its stats? So health is definitely lower than what Kardakas offer, almost 25% less. So already does not look that tough with its health. Its damage, almost 30 DPS base. That is very high DPS. I would have to take a look at the other units just to think of any that would have this high DPS. But I don't think there is not that many that would have this high DPS. But I would have to remember. I don't think even Phalanx has that. Phalanx is like... whatever. But yeah, very high DPS. Bonus against cavalry, that's also nice. 2.5 times. So that's very nice bonus. Then it's armor. This is where it starts looking very nice. Pierce armor 0.30, melee cavalry armor 0.30. So this looks like a spearman that traded off its infantry armor for pierce armor. That's pretty much what this unit is. If you take a look at its stats a little bit further, you'll see, hey, movement speed is actually much slower than the base one, only 4.50. So this is slow unit, slow infantry. Train time 5.50 seconds. This is higher than what Kardakas had. Okay, so slower production. But when we take a look at the damage, its health sure does look a little bit low, but thanks to its armor, it suddenly looks much better. So that's what I would say. It might look weak at first glance, because it might not survive that long, but once you try it in action, it can actually take quite a beating. Not only from like cavalry units, but also ranged units or defensive buildings. Unfortunately, it's very slow, so if you keep losing these and try to retrain them, it's gonna take a while for them to get to the front, to the battlefield. So careful with that. And definitely you still need a fortress to train them, so it's not that easy to build the forward fortresses. Or easy, I should say, it's not that fast. So yeah, if you want to keep replenishing this unit, this is where I would say it is at its weakest, because it has quite a high cost, highest from what we saw from the Persian advisor units, so it is somewhat expensive. Even when you use the zeal, remember, 30% more. Oh boy, that's a very high cost. Over 100 units for this unit. Oh boy. You better be rich at that point when you decide to do that. But yeah, health. It's okay, health, but definitely it is not one of the highest health pools we've seen so far. So definitely its health is the small weakness to this unit. With its speed, you could say it's similar to the Phalanx, okay? Because it has some nice health, but because it is slow, it might be issue for them to reach enemy ranged units. So ranged units might be actually hurting the Royal Guards a lot, but luckily for you, here you have some nice pierce armor, which Phalanx actually has as well. So it's not that huge difference, but if you get there, even one single unit can actually hurt. But yeah, I would say Phalanx weakness is here as well. It has some nice health, it has some nice pierce armor, but because of its low speed, it might be very hard to deal with a lot of ranged units. So for this unit, it would be better to have some backline to support them, like let's say the war wagons, for example. And this definitely might be a very good option because this unit is supposed to counter cavalry mainly, plus it can soak some pierce damage. So I would say it's very good frontline unit for units like war wagons, even bowmen or takabas. But yeah, if you support it with some good backline, this is actually quite nice frontline, and it can kill cavalry quite fast. With its high base damage plus the bonus, it's definitely a very good unit. So again, I'm gonna suggest try using this, but definitely try it with some easier quests. But I would say you might be surprised how well this unit can actually do in legendary quests. I would say this might be probably one of the best units for the Persians. I think it might be actually the best. But yeah, there are some other units that might be interesting. But for the power, this unit actually has some good power. So definitely give it a try. But don't forget to support it with some backline. And that's all I have to say. It's pretty much your typical spearman with pierce armor instead of infantry armor. And it is hard hitting. That's all I have to say about this unit. Also slower moving, cannot forget that. But yeah, spearman, slower moving, pierce armor, hard hitting. That's it. Nothing else about this. So yeah, these H3 units, they are pretty general, okay? There is nothing really too special about them, although yes, their stats might be interesting at first, but they are not that interesting, to be honest. Now, if we go further, and we have to go into the Golden Age now, the next advisory unit for the Persians are from Charioteer Bahadur, the Scythed Chariots. And honestly, this is again like some general looking unit, to be honest. It's pretty much your typical chariot archer with some small bonus against infantry. So yeah, let's take a look at the stats. Cost 130 wood, 50 gold. Okay, that's not the worst. I mean, I think Egyptian and chariot archer is a little bit cheaper than this. So yeah, it's pretty high cost, but it's not that bad. Only slightly higher. Its health, very good health actually for a ranged unit, having 700 health. That's more than what the base health of elephant archer is, so very good health, to be honest. Pierce damage, this is actually quite nice. Pierce damage 51 base, that's not bad actually. For some easier quests this is very good. For some more challenging legendaries, yeah, that's not gonna be enough, but it is nice. And then you also have bonus against infantry, so this is very nice. You might actually use this ranged unit as some kind of backline for some of your good frontline unit. Now question is, which one might that be? Could be Sparabaras. Sure, they are tanky, but then how do you deal with cavalry units that actually soak a lot of pierce armor, which is not that rare to see? That might not be good. Okay, I would say you might actually want to combine this with the Royal Guards, the advised unit, because they actually cover each other quite nicely. Sure, the enemy ranged units might be still an issue, but if you add like a war wagon or two to the composition, you might actually have some nice army there. So yeah, like you have the Royal Guards, which do a lot of damage to the enemy cavalry units. Then you have these Scythed Chariots that do damage against infantry, and then you add the war wagons, which take care of the backline. Sounds like a nice composition. Yeah, moving on through the stats. Maximum range 18, pretty standard for a ranged unit. Movement speed 9. For a chariot archer, it's not that bad, to be honest. Because I think the Babylonian one actually has only 7 movement speed, so even with all the speed upgrades, getting over 9 is quite expensive for that unit. Training time 13 seconds, that's quite a slow training time, okay? But yeah, kiting with this unit might be possible if you are dealing with some slower units, but the speed is definitely not as high as with the Scythian mounted archer, so it's nice, but I don't think it's gonna work that well. Other than that, it just looks like your typical ranged unit, except it's just a chariot archer, so it's gonna be faster, it's gonna be quite strong. It can take some beating, which is nice, and that's probably the only thing I can say about it. It can take some beating, and that's it. Otherwise, I have nothing else to say about this unit. It's just a chariot with some bonus against infantry. Nothing else to say about it. Just supported with some frontline. It can be quite nice unit. If you go alone with this unit, you can do that in some easier quests again, because yeah, sure, health is there, damage is there, but if you take too much damage and we'll have to replace them, yeah, it's gonna be expensive, and then the damage output is just not gonna be enough. So that's it. Yeah, it is Scythed Chariot. It's just your typical chariot. I have nothing else to say about it. I don't think I missed anything about it. Tried it. Nothing really special. So yeah, that's about it. So that was the Scythed Chariot. And now we are moving on to the last one. And that is the Royal Archer Arash with his Royal Archers. And the Royal Archers, if we take a look at the stats first. 25 wood, 35 gold for cost. That's not that bad. It's pretty similar to the Desert Archer, which was 30-30, so same cost. 60 units. This is actually the cheapest of what we saw here for the Persians. 270 health. That's pretty okay for a ranged unit, not the worst. 25 DPS, that's quite nice, not the worst. 18 range, pretty standard. Line of sight, this is actually worth mentioning. Line of sight 30, this is very high line of sight, 50% higher than your typical ranged unit or your typical unit in general, because most units just have 20 line of sight. For this unit having like 50% more, that's quite nice, because the next thing is very low movement speed, 4.50, so it is slow unit. 4 seconds train time, that's pretty fast, that's pretty okay. But yeah, slow movement speed, that's not really good, right? Does not look that good. And in combination with line of sight that it has here, actually the line of sight might be the lifesaver here, because this allows you to spot the danger before you get in, because once you get in, it might be hard to get out with this unit, okay, because of the speed. So the line of sight is definitely a huge help for this unit thing, because of the low movement speed. Unlike the Desert Archers, which has only 16 line of sight, so like half of this, which is very low. So definitely this unit feels already better than Desert Archer, okay? I would say they are similar, but I think the Royal Archer actually has some nice things working for it that actually make it somewhat usable and not as bad as the Desert Archer. Desert Archer, sure, it has a nice helmet, pierce armor, but with the low line of sight, if I just get in there and suddenly there are catapults firing at them, yeah, that's not gonna help me. With this line of sight, hey, I can avoid the danger. Now, another thing about this unit, and you cannot actually read this from the stats, its attack is quite unique. In fact, this unit, I would say, is the best, the closest similar unit to this one is actually Gastra Feathers from Greek army. And why is that? Sure, it does not have bonus against infantry. It is slow, that's true. But one thing that this unit actually has as an advantage, its attack animation makes them attack at the beginning of that animation, which is huge. And make sure to watch the video just so you see, because this allows you for some very good micro. So if you've ever tried Kardakas microing them, you can see that if you just press stop key, typically S, you stop, they fire practically immediately. Okay, and this allows you to move them. So you just stop them, they attack immediately, and then you can right away move them to some other location. This actually is the same for the royal archers here. So you attack, you move, you attack, you move, you stop, you move. Okay, that's what you should do with this unit. So although it has very low movement speed, it's quite mobile unit actually. Why is that? Because hey, the attack occurs at the start of the animation, so when you stop the movement of this unit, they fire immediately, and then hey, you can move them again right away. So that's a nice thing about this unit, and definitely you should try doing with this unit. Could be nice to have some frontline for this unit as well, but I think it can stand quite nicely on its own, but definitely not in some harder quests where you have to deal with like siege, where you have to deal with some pierce armored cavalry units. So it is a quite nice unit. Definitely I would suggest putting it together with some good frontline that could help it. But what I don't like about this unit is the lack of the bonuses again, because nothing really special about it. Like let's say countering the infantry, countering it, the cavalry, no. But because of the micro potential, this might be very good against some slower infantry units, because guess what, they will try to reach it, sure, they have the speed to get close enough, but because you fire immediately, you can move away, then stop, attack again, and then move again. And before the enemy infantry reaches the royal archers, they'll lose some units, or some health at least. So yeah, definitely it is a good unit to deal with enemy infantry, if you ask me, some slower ones. But other than that, against ranged units, I mean, unless they have some good pierce armor or better range, I think you will be okay. So if you go against something like Toxores, yeah, that's gonna be fine. But yeah, other than the fast animation, the very high line of sight, there's nothing really special. Again, it's just a general bowman. You use this in general as a backline support. You just have the advantage of the micro potential, the line of sight, which allows you to see the danger before you get there. Movement speed is the disadvantage, because if you keep losing again, you won't be able to replace them. That's a disadvantage. But yeah, definitely give this unit a try. It's a good way to practice your micro with ranged units, especially if you plan to play Greeks and try the Gastraferes. Definitely good practice for this. And that's all I have to say. As you could see, the Persian advisor units are just quite general units, like generally good around. There is nothing really too special about them. If you have just, hey, you have Kardakas Royal Guards which counter this specific unit type, then you have like these ranged units which are practically good in general. Scythed Chariot, okay, has some bonus against infantry, but other than that, it's just your typical units. I mean, nothing really too special about them. only the Royal Archer feels very unique, and that's what I would say is like the most interesting unit of the Persian advisor unit roster. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you feel like I missed something, I mean, there's not much to say about these units, okay? Nothing really too special about them. But yeah, give it a try if you feel like, hey, this might actually be some potential unit. I want to try it. Give it a shot, okay? Definitely leave a comment if you feel like I forgot about something, because yeah, it is quite possible. I don't play that many Persian, so it's possible I missed something. Okay, and then don't forget to like this, share this, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.